My people, what is happening right now in Nigeria is deep. Everywhere you turn, there's one new talk about who is favored, who is forgotten, and who is feeling left behind. This time, the fire is coming straight from the north, and the target is President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. The noise started after the latest customs recruitment list came out, and a lot of people are not smiling at all. Some northern voices are saying the whole recruitment was not balanced, that too many people from the south were chosen, while the north got fewer chances. They say it's not just about numbers, it's about how they feel. Many of them are saying the north is being treated unfairly, even hated and profiled. As this talk continued, one man, Mahdi Shehu, a well-known activist and social critic from the north, came out strong. He called Tinubu something that shook the internet. He said Tinubu is like an emeritus professor of nepotism. He said the level of favoritism in this government is too open, that the customs list shows it all. According to him, out of over 1,700 people shortlisted for customs recruitment, just about 500 were from the north, while over 1,000 came from the south. He even said that one zone, the southwest, got more people than the entire 19 states of the north combined. That is a very strong claim, and it has been making people talk non-stop online. Now, before we go deeper, please don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel if you're enjoying this gist. It helps a lot, and we bring you the real-time stories just like this every day. Alright, let's continue. Mahdi Shehu said the level of open bias he saw in that customs recruitment list made him wonder if the north is still part of the same Nigeria. In his words, he said northern citizens are beginning to feel hated and profiled. He said it's not about politics alone, it's about equality and fairness. According to him, when national institutions start favoring one region more than others, it creates division and tension that could affect the unity of the country. He asked, how can a federal recruitment that is supposed to represent all Nigerians now look one-sided? Many people online quickly picked up this issue. Some said Mahdi Shehu is right. They shared screenshots, lists, and state-by-state breakdowns, claiming that the figures clearly show the South had more advantage. Others said we should not rush to judgment because maybe the selection was based on exam performance, qualifications, or merit. But the big question still stands. Is the federal government fair to all regions when it comes to appointments and employment? The reason this particular recruitment caused so much noise is because it came at a time when many northern groups were already feeling excluded. In recent months, several voices from the north have been complaining that appointments, federal contracts, and projects are going more to the south, especially the southwest. They say the north that gave Tinubu a lot of votes during the election is not being carried along now. Some northern youth groups even said the sense of belonging they once felt is fading. Now, if you are listening to this gist, ask yourself, why do these things keep happening in Nigeria? Every administration, there is always a talk of who got more, who got less, who is favored, who is marginalized. It's like a never-ending circle. People forget that fairness and transparency can solve half of these problems. If the government publishes every recruitment list with clear explanations of how each person was picked, nobody will complain. But when things are done quietly and numbers leak from social media, people start reading meanings into it. And please, as you are following this gist, don't forget to like the video and subscribe if you haven't. Your support really helps this channel grow and helps us bring you balanced stories in a simple way everyone can understand. Back to the matter. Mahdi Shehu's post didn't just stop online. It spread fast, and it made the political class in the north react. Some elders and commentators said his words may sound harsh, but there is truth in what he is saying. They said what the north is demanding is not special treatment, but fairness in opportunity. Others said his tone was too strong, that calling the president names won't solve the issue, and that the north should engage the government through dialogue instead of confrontation. Now, in fairness, we have to also mention that the presidency and those close to Tinubu have rejected the idea that there's any bias. Some people defending the president said, look, appointments and recruitment are still ongoing. They said we should not judge the whole administration based on one exercise. They also reminded people that the north still holds key positions in government, like security chiefs, ministers, and top agency heads. They believe this talk of marginalization is being pushed by political opponents trying to create division. But here's where it gets more interesting. Some analysts say the real issue is perception. Whether or not the numbers are accurate, if a large number of people feel excluded, that perception becomes political reality. And when it comes from a region as large and politically important as the north, it shakes the power structure. Remember, this is what some are calling Tinubu disorganizing and unsettling the Northern Power Bloc. The Northern Power Bloc is that long-standing political unity that has always had influence over national politics, both during elections and in federal decisions. But now, many believe that unity is beginning to crack. Some elites are quiet, others are speaking out. Even within the ruling party, there are whispers that some northern politicians are not happy with how the center is handling things. And that's why this customs recruitment issue hit a nerve. It became a symbol of something bigger. If you look back, you'll see a pattern. During the last few months, northern leaders have been calling for inclusion in different ways. More appointments, more projects, more federal presence. And each time the government releases a new list or announcement, the scrutiny becomes intense. People start counting names and regions, and it turns into a political storm. For many northern youths, the anger is not just about numbers, it's about unemployment. They feel that most of the federal jobs are slipping away from their reach. They see southern youths celebrating new appointments or recruitment lists, and they feel forgotten. The frustration mixes with hardship, no job, high cost of living, insecurity, and all that together creates the kind of tension we're seeing now. But let's also be fair. Governance is never easy. Balancing a country as diverse as Nigeria is one of the hardest tasks any president can face. You can't please everyone at once. Sometimes, decisions made for efficiency can appear political, but that's why communication and transparency are key. If the Customs Service and other agencies simply publish the breakdowns and clearly show how people were picked, it can calm things down. Please, if you are still watching, take a second and like this video and subscribe to the channel. It doesn't cost anything, but it helps us a lot to keep this kind of deep, balanced gist coming your way every day. Now, let's look at the bigger picture. The talk of Tinubu unsettling the Northern Power Bloc goes beyond just customs recruitment. It touches on appointments, economic policies, and even the way political alliances are shifting. Some northern leaders who supported Tinubu during the election are now quietly distancing themselves. Others are openly criticizing him. They say the president's appointments are favoring the Southwest too much. But at the same time, there are northerners in government who say the North is still well represented and that people should be patient. This mixed feeling is what makes the situation unpredictable. As one political observer said, when a region begins to feel left out, they don't shout immediately, they observe first. But when the murmuring becomes loud, it means something is changing. And that's what's happening now. Meanwhile, in the South, especially in the Southwest, some supporters of the president say the accusations are unfair. They argue that for many years, past presidents also made appointments that seem to favor their regions. They ask why it becomes a big issue now. But others counter that Nigeria is supposed to have moved past that era of regional politics. The country should be fair to everyone, regardless of where the president comes from. As all this continues, one thing is clear. The customs recruitment issue has become more than just about jobs. It's now a mirror showing how divided Nigeria's politics can be. People from different regions are beginning to talk more openly about fairness, equality, and representation. And even though this kind of argument can cause tension, it can also push leaders to do better. Because at the end of the day, Nigeria belongs to all of us. Whether you are from the north, south, east, or west, everyone deserves the same chance. Employment, appointments, opportunities, none should depend on tribe or religion. So now, Nigerians are watching closely to see how the government responds to these claims. Will the Customs Service release the full list to the public? Will there be a statement from the presidency addressing the numbers directly? Or will they just ignore the noise and move on? Whatever happens, one thing is sure, this topic will not die down anytime soon. And if you are still with me to this point, please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe right now. We break down stories in simple language so that everyone can understand the big issues happening in Nigeria today. Now, as the talk kept spreading, the reactions from the northern youth became stronger. Many young people started using social media to share their frustration. They said things like, "We are educated, we apply for jobs, we follow the process, yet when the final list comes out, we don't see our names." You could feel the emotion behind their words, disappointment mixed with anger. Some even said they now regret supporting this administration during the election because they expected inclusion, not exclusion. And you know how fast things move online. Within hours, the story was trending. Hashtags about the customs recruitment and Mahdi Shehu's comments were everywhere. People started posting the supposed numbers and comparing states. Some were calm, but some used harsh words. The problem is, once people believe they are being treated unfairly, no explanation feels enough. But at the same time, there are other Nigerians saying, let's not turn this into a tribal fight. They remind everyone that Nigeria has always had these regional differences and that what we should be pushing for now is a system where merit, not location, decides who gets jobs. And honestly, they have a point. Because if the system is fair, if everyone sees that the process is transparent, then there would be less tension, less suspicion, and more trust. Please, if you haven't liked this video yet, take a moment to do that now and hit the subscribe button too. That small action really helps this channel keep bringing you updates like this in real time. Back to the story. The controversy has now turned into a wider conversation about leadership and inclusion. Analysts on TV and radio are saying that the president has to act fast to calm things down, because if one region begins to feel alienated, it can affect national unity. Some political watchers believe Tinubu may have to make some high-profile appointments from the north soon just to balance things and show fairness. That kind of political balancing is not new. Every leader in Nigeria has done it at some point to keep the peace. However, others argue that the president should not make decisions just to please groups but should focus on competence. They say that if you start appointing people just to satisfy regional pressure, you might end up sacrificing quality. So again, we come back to the same question: how do you balance fairness and merit? That's one of the biggest challenges in Nigeria's politics. Meanwhile, Mahdi Shehu has continued to defend his position. He said he's not attacking the president personally, but he's calling out what he believes is unfair treatment. He said his only goal is to make sure every Nigerian, especially northern youths, get equal access to opportunities. His supporters praise him for being brave enough to speak out when others keep quiet, but his critics say his language was too harsh and could create division. The truth is, both sides have valid points. Speaking out against injustice is important, but the way you communicate your message also matters. When you use harsh words, it can turn people who should listen into people who become defensive. So maybe both sides need to slow down and talk with respect. Now, let's look at how this whole thing affects ordinary Nigerians. For most people, what they care about is just getting a job, feeding their families, and living in peace. Politics and appointments only become a big deal when they start to affect those simple things. So when people hear that a recruitment exercise like customs might be unfair, it touches them personally. It's not just politics, it's their future. And if you look at the larger economy, unemployment is already one of the biggest problems. Young graduates are everywhere, searching for work, filling out applications, hoping to be called. So when recruitment happens and they feel left out, it cuts deep. It makes them lose faith in the system. This is why leaders have to be careful. Even if there's no bad intention behind the recruitment list, perception is everything. Once people perceive that a certain group is being favored, the trust starts to fade. And rebuilding that trust takes a long time. Please remember to like this video and subscribe so you don't miss more updates like this. We bring you the real talk, not noise, and we say it in a way everyone can understand. Now, another interesting thing happening is the political effect this might have on future elections. Many northern politicians are already watching closely. Some are quietly forming new alliances. Some are waiting to see how Tinubu will respond. Because in politics, perception shapes power. If the northern voting bloc starts to feel divided or dissatisfied, it can change the entire political balance of the country. But not all northern leaders are angry. Some are calling for calm and saying that the north should not rush into confrontation. They say the president still needs time to adjust and to balance things properly. They also remind people that the customs recruitment might not have been fully supervised by the president himself. It might have been handled by officials within the service. They advise that instead of blaming one person, we should focus on demanding transparency from the entire system. And that's a fair point. In Nigeria, most federal agencies operate under their own boards, directors, and internal systems. So when something goes wrong, it might not be directly from the presidency. But of course, because the president is the face of the government, all blame always goes to him. Now, while all this drama continues, there are also voices of reason calling for reform. Some are saying that recruitment for any government job should be handled openly, publish the names of shortlisted candidates, the states they come from, and their scores. That way, everyone can see it's fair. That kind of transparency could change the whole narrative. It would stop people from thinking that jobs are only for the privileged or connected. And yes, my people, please like this video and subscribe now if you haven't done so. We really appreciate your support. Let's round this up slowly. The truth about Nigeria is that we are a country made up of different people, languages, and histories. That diversity is our strength, but only when we treat each other fairly. Once any group starts feeling sidelined, bitterness begins to grow, and when bitterness grows, it affects peace, trust, and even security. That's why issues like this, customs recruitment, matter more than they appear. The North right now is watching, waiting to see if the government will take steps to balance things. The South is also watching, hoping this doesn't turn into another political fight that slows down development. Everyone just wants fairness and peace. For President Tinubu, this is another test of leadership. He will have to find a way to calm the northern concerns without offending other regions. And that's not an easy job. But if handled well, it can strengthen his image as a unifier, someone who listens to the people, not just his allies. At the end of the day, Nigeria's progress depends on one thing: fairness. Fairness in employment, fairness in appointments, fairness in opportunities. When people feel included, they work harder and support their leaders more. But when they feel left out, it weakens the bond that holds the country together. So as this story continues to unfold, Nigerians are hoping for one thing: a clear and transparent explanation from the government. That's what will separate truth from rumor. Because in this age of social media, stories travel fast, and perception can turn into anger if it's not addressed quickly. And before I end, once again, if you've enjoyed this gist, please like this video and subscribe right now. It helps us grow, and it helps us keep bringing you balanced, interesting, and professional stories you can trust.